Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing today? All right. Let's get over to the main screen. Another dry, uncomfortable day. So we've got my walk from the start of July. Uh, as you can see, things are kind of growing back in. The path is still relatively noticeable, but the creek is just completely dry. Like, it's awful. But I took this problem and turned it into what I was going to work on. So there's a whole bunch of points in here that kind of could use some remodeling. Some parts are too high, have too low of dips. So my main goal here was to kind of work on getting the creek in a better position, cleaning it out, getting any kind of debris out of it. I can't really do bridge things because I don't know where the water is running, but I can absolutely like hollow out the underneath. We grab our usual mint, just to have that for insect deterrent, always good. Um, a lot of dried up creeks make the best paths, so it's always good to walk a creek when you can. And I really should do more on getting the creek completely walkable, because there's situations like there where you can't. I mean, that is a small waterfall anyway, but all the same, it might be a good idea to just walk that and completely clean it out. So, just gonna progress on the path. Still very noticeable here that it's about 4 or 5 inches shorter than the rest of the nature. So glad that's stayed fairly well mowed. It just really sucks being afraid of getting ticks and poison ivy and everything in between. So keeping that low and clear, gorgeous. This space had a lot of debris, and there's a lot of work gets put in over here. As you can see, there's more stuff just kind of hanging out because I've cleared a lot of stuff from here. Um, it needs more work, but that happens in the next video. Um, but there is just so much that could be done, and now's probably the best time to do it. So more on that another time. Some progression that doesn't get shown is that I have been improving space around my house a little bit. There are a couple of cherry trees that weren't really serving a purpose, and they're just not actually producing cherries, and it would impede any kind of repair that was getting done to my house. So those are getting taken out. It's working out pretty well. The first two cuts went very well. They came down with no issue. Man, is cherry hard to cut up. So yeah, this path hasn't had a whole lot done to it. I'm really just lacking direction in what I want to do in some of these spaces. If I want to just completely clear them out, or if I want to leave them as these kinds of, you know, wandery places that I can kind of weave in and out of. Um, yeah, I really could go through just loppers and kind of take care of any trees I could take care of with the loppers, it kind of works back on itself as a check. So always kind of figuring out what's the best course of action, because there's just so much. There's infinite possibilities with space like this. So I'm really happy this path is existing and staying clear. Um, it's such a neat walk. Like I can't wait to take someone on it and just kind of like let them have reign of like where are we going, what space would look better without a lot of this crap. Like if something is too narrow or too awkward to move through, it can get fixed. Like there's so much that can be done. It's not hard to keep a certain level of canopy, but at the same time, it does lead to some of these sideways looking trees, which are a problem. Always looking to get rid of those. Anything that's kind of leaning in an awkward way just gives me more incentive to get rid of it. But another week. It's becoming more and more of a thing for me to just keep these as a reference and ensuring that I am documenting at least a year of what my property looks like and the changes that I've made in the course of a year. Like, it's really fulfilling to know that I'm doing this and things are going well. Really happy with a lot of these spaces. It's so much easier to see which trees look small from the camera's perspective. Like, because in real life, some of these seem a lot bigger than they are and more integral for the landscape. It's so much different on camera. So yeah, haven't done anything over here, haven't gotten back any further. So that's just happening. Um, Leaving that as is for the most part. So just kind of coming back in a little bit different of a path, kind of just trying to regroup after bonking and trying to like examine what this path is, because almost as a reminder, all of the brush is coming up to like here. Like if it's completely untouched, like it is just unreasonable. Like it is, as you can see, the camera is on the top of my head, so a lot of this stuff is just huge. Uh, I have kind of a wide angle, so this is what we get. But the video looks good today. Like, doesn't look like it's too choppy. I think the settings are evening themselves out. But yeah, just lots of drought. Really kind of a pain. But it does ensure that my mowing almost consistently will stay, because there's not enough water to really grow new. So that works. I think I changed the camera, or the date on the camera, so that'll actually line up better with what's actually happening. So yeah, like this space is still pretty nice walkthrough, um, good canopy, The area over here has a nice outlet. Does need to get mowed a little bit, but that's a problem for another day. So, continuing on. Just so much of this space just looks so nice with the mowing. It's just me admiring it at this point. Getting out for these walks is so good. It's really refreshing and just nice to be out there, even if I do have to be like fully clothed, like no skin exposed aside from my hands because I forget gloves all the time. I need to just have more gloves available. But at the same time, I'm super happy to be done with my carb nonsense. That's all taken care of. So I can spend more time on this and less time worrying about that. It's funny how anxiety, especially for things that are huge, can really pull you away from the things you enjoy and make it a lot harder to do things that will make you feel better about your situation. But we all have our own neuroses, and it's really just good to do your best to understand them and how you're doing and what your coping mechanisms are and if they're healthy or not. So I'm going to be super happy to get back to this in a more aggressive manner, really pushing to change some spaces rather than just kind of maintenance, because that's really what I've been doing for the past month is just maintenance. So we'll see. Also trying to like figure out ways to make this different or change it up. It's neat to see how sometimes just growth changes the area. So like letting it do nothing, like if we do nothing to it, how does that change and become different as opposed to actively going into a space and just tearing through it and cleaning it up and making it nice. Sometimes it's more about seeing what nature wants and working around and with that. So, yeah, like another video. It's pretty much same stuff, but that's kind of the point. So, yeah, creek just completely dry. Drought's a problem, but it gives me a unique opportunity to help make the creek a little bit better. It's like this is the space that I've worked with here. I can try to move that tree back to where it was initially so that waterfall does some different things. My bones still doing good there. And that's where we'll switch off to the next video. All right, and we're back. This is earlier in this week. So, yep, we've got July 13th, 2022. Finally fixed the camera. I don't know. I just never thought this was going to be relevant to anything I did. Now it is. So another week's worth of growth, but again, even with some slight rain, not a lot's changed, but I have been able to make this a little bit more consistent in its level. So it's not like constantly going up and down. It's more even, so hopefully the flow will be better. It's a lot of moving stone around. It was just a couple of days of just like pushing stone into pits and pulling and just like trying to make any of these spaces work a little bit better. Reinforcing this space, which I've been trying to make sure so this whole area doesn't flood anymore. Working through here and there. I've done more work on this space. There's a pile of the stuff that I took out of here so that this makes more sense coming through here. This portion's hard because I want to show what's over here, and like there was work done there, but it feels better to kind of see it on the way back. But it also doesn't matter because the way that the droughting worked, I was releasing a pool that was just becoming congealed with like I want to call it not copper, but like iron discharge. Like there's just a lot of clay and whatnot in our ground in the creek bed. So a lot of discharge comes up and it makes it this weird copper color. Super gross, but also probably not great for any animals that are trying to drink it. So I'm trying to keep the water flowing so it's better for them. And we have less mosquitoes ultimately. That's the biggest hope. This space also improved. I do need to spend a day just like grabbing more of this stuff that I've cleared and just moving it back. And that really could just be one of my little whiteboard ideas of like, hey, you need to go do something active. Here's a thing you can do. And just like, even if I just have a bunch of them, because I like go for a walk and that works not necessarily through this area, just like in general on the nice path, so I don't have to worry about anything. And I can do a lot of that barefoot, which is always great when you can. I mean, it's so good to connect with the earth, but you do have to watch out for stuff like ringworm and, ticks. So, and, trying to avoid stepping on any ground bees. But if you can do all that, a barefoot walk, fantastic. But also a big fan of my archery, frisbee golf. Got a couple of discs that are really good to throw around. Feels really nice to have a good drive. This was a space that I wanted to fix up a little bit, but there's also a tactic here that I'm going to spin around, and I'm not sure how that's going to show up on camera. And it's anytime I get caught by any kind of prickers, it's best to move with it so that it can just kind of glance off of you. It's just one of the tricks that I've picked up in my time just getting attacked by thorn bushes. So this is just one of those points where I can pick up and just head right back into the trail. Since nothing was done back here and nothing's really changed, it was just kind of an interesting thought to go through that portion of the creek. And again, just like deciding I'm not going to go the usual path. I'm going to veer way off and go the other path because this looks cool and I'd rather like show this way since it's been a minute since I've walked down this way. And it's all split decisions. Like nothing is planned, nothing is any kind of goal oriented system. I'm just trying to have a better scope of all of the space that I've interacted with, which can be hard over the course of a week. Like, if I actually do get back into doing a lot, it can be really hard to remember um, what did I do? What did I change? What space did I get into? How did I get there? Um, so having these videos definitely helps on the like, hey, here's a spot that needs just a little bit more attention. So it was very obvious, like coming into this space initially, just how wild it is and could be. So I really like this space now. It's super cool. Like just this little bridge like action, not actually a bridge, but just having the leftover concrete from something or other worked out. So I'm such it's such a good feeling to use materials in a space that were discarded but suddenly could have purpose. It really makes that upcycling feel great. I skipped this entire area over here because it's just kind of. I've resigned that I haven't changed anything, and I really should. Because I keep going back there and being like, oh, I went back the wrong way. I went back this way instead of the way that's natural, and I, it's not great. But I absolutely just avoided that. Also, wanted to highlight a cowl is a great piece, especially in these outdoor situations. Just keeping your arms, like even if you're not wearing like longer sleeves or anything, like it still can cover all the way to your elbow and beyond, so that you don't get those uh, interactions when you brush up against something in the outdoors. Um, I really appreciate the utility and reasons for a lot of like what ancient garb did for walking through spaces like these. Um, I've consistently thought about wearing my uh, greaves when I'm doing any kind of this, just because like my legs get beat up is not great at all. I also have a um, skirt I made out of pants that helps with deterring mud and everything splash. So that just like acts as a guard in that way. Aprons are fantastic for this kind of stuff. Like a cowl and an apron, and you've got most of your body covered, actually. Like, at least in the front end. I mean, a little work from the back, or if it's a more fully enclosed apron, you can absolutely get away with those too and be mostly covered, which the wonders of having additional layers. Um, but yeah, absolutely haven't done a whole lot in this space either. Like I said, I'm mostly just maintaining, keeping path nice. Um, little bits here and there, mostly working on the creek in these past 2 weeks, which it's still really impressive how low it is. Like it's bad. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind about global warming. It's so real. Like it's so hard for me to understand how people can't see it and like don't see the effects at all, but most people don't directly interact with nature like this. So this space over here got dug out a little bit. Um, it's not incredibly easy to see, but that's one of the things that got done. So yeah, the water is just back there though. Like there's still a small pond, and there's a lot of frog that need these kinds of spaces. So I try to do my best to at least make sure they have some. I absolutely put out a little bowl of water for wildlife in front of my house and got to see a raccoon, so that was fantastic. Um, but yeah, that's more of the same. Really sucks that the drought's so bad, but got to make the most of the situation you're in. Turn those tragedies into an opportunity to do something at least. So try to stay positive in this negative world, even though nothing matters and the whole nihilism of the situation. But you just do the things you can that make you feel the best about your life. So I'm going to keep working on my space. Be sure to keep working on yours and yourself. And do your best to have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself. Remember to be kind in all your situations. And yeah, till next time, everybody. Peace. Be good. And I might be on a little later. I wanted to test to see if I could stream some Minecraft, but it'd be from my laptop. So I'm a little concerned on how that works. I know I tried doing some streaming from the PlayStation 4 and that didn't work great. And but till next time, have a great weekend. Uh, yeah, till then, till next time. It should be in about 2 weeks. So, peace.